Hello ladies and gentlemen, Extentor here, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now, if you're new here, please feel free to like and subscribe. All of the help you're giving me and all the support does mean the world to me, and it's much appreciated, okay? So now today, we're going to be looking at some of the worst Airbus aircraft in infinite flight. Now, about a week ago, I did a video showing you some of the worst Boeing aircraft in infinite flight. So now it's time to show you the Airbus. Now, starting off, I'll just show you what aircraft we do have in flight that are owned by Airbus. We got the A220-300 variant, and we've got the A318, A319 100 variant. We got the A320 and A321 200 variants. Now, it's worth noting that some of these aircraft we only have one variant, like we do for the A320s there, the A220. For the A330, we've got three variants. We've got the A330-200, the freight version, the A330-300 and the A330-900 Neo. So we don't have any A320 Neos or anything, but we do have the A330 Neo. We have the A340-600 variant, which is, to me, I love the A340 personally. I think it is a brilliant aircraft. We got the A350-900 and the A380-800. So we've got a lot of aircraft. Now we're going to start off with, the beast of the skies, the A380. We got a fair few liveries in it as well. So we got like the well-known Emirates livery. You got Qantas, Qatar, Singapore Airlines. We got the big main airlines which fly the A380, which is good livery-wise when we're looking at aircraft. Okay. Now I'm going to spawn at London Heathrow because I know it's an airport which can handle pretty much any aircraft we throw at it if I get the right gate. I think they're A380 gates. And so, talking about the A380 in infinite flight, it's not been changed since it's first added to the mobile flight simulator, and I feel like this aircraft, it's not forgotten, but as an infinite flight player, it feels forgotten by the development team, and I feel like it does need a bit of love. So, looking on the exterior of this aircraft right here, it looks good, it looks okay, it's about par, or standard-wise. I'm just going to change the settings. I'm going to bring them down a little bit, and I'm going to cut off all volume. I've got high settings, that's why it's a bit laggy. Medium settings, what I normally show you guys on, just to prevent lag, because infinite flight has a habit for being ultra laggy. Now, like I said, look at the exterior. It looks good, it looks smooth, it looks great. We've got very limited views of the aircraft, but we do have some good views. Now, going into the free camera, let's go into the drones. The aircraft has no interior. Now that is very common among the older aircraft in infinite flight not to have an interior. Like, it does have a gear thing where the gear go into, but at least it has a cockpit. Now the A380 cockpit is one of the worst cockpits in infinite flight, and I mean it. Just look at it, there's not even a cockpit door back there. The seats are very tacky, they're very old, they're worse than like the cabin seats in some of the aircraft. And we're very limited in terms of 3D objects and like a 3D cockpit. Like I said, look at it, it looks 3D, but no, it's all 2D. It's just stickers basically, until you get here where you got the gear stick, the throttle, which doesn't even move when I'm moving up and down the throttle. You can see in the corner here, if I just get a good view, you can see like the side stick does move as I move about with my iPad. To change the view, but I don't know if the flaps or anything move. No, the flaps don't move. So we are very limited in terms of a working and moving cockpit, unfortunately. Spoilers don't work either. So, like I said, very limited cockpit. But in terms of the aircraft, when you're comparing the exterior, it's very good. However, the cockpit is, I'm afraid, it's a huge letdown for this beast of the skies. It's just an amazing aircraft. So now we're going to move on to the next aircraft, which is the A340. Again, one of the worst aircraft in infinite flight, I think. Let's go with the Virgin Atlantic livery, shall we? I love the Virgin Atlantic livery on the A340. And a fun fact, I was talking to some people on my Discord server on the day of recording this, and we all agreed that the A340 is probably by far one of the coolest aircraft out there, and it's definitely one of my favourite aircraft growing up. Now, I was kind of hoping there'd be a Turkish Airlines livery on the A340 as they used to fly it, because I used to see them quite often. So here we are, zooming out. Now let's just look. The A340, just for a start, there's a gap. I don't think there's meant to be a gap on the livery there. I think that's just my iPad hasn't loaded it in. But like I said, when you zoom out again, the livery as a whole, it looks really good. Detail on the gear is pretty decent for an old aircraft which hasn't been changed since it came out. And the engines, you know, they're not really that good. Now, like I said, like most aircraft, it's missing the interior. It's got the thing for the gear, but there's no interior. So that, of course, is a downside. But again, the cockpit here, I'd say this cockpit is pretty much on par with the A380 cockpit, being some of the worst cockpits in the flight simulator. And we're just going to see if the flaps or anything moves. So look, we do have a moving flap stick in this cockpit. We have a moving throttle stick. So, you know, we do have that sort of going for it. And that is the brakes, but there is no rudder brakes on the aircraft. Now, that would also mean that our side stick should move as well. And we got the little Pepsi can there, which is cool. And the side stick does move, but not much. It's very, very slow moving. And like I said, the cockpit here, nothing really 3D other than, you know, the stuff down here, which does actually move to my surprise. So now looking at the exterior of the aircraft again, it looks a bit meh. You know, it's good. Like the A340 is an aircraft as a whole. It's a phenomenal aircraft. It's a lovely aircraft, and it's very much one of my favourite aircraft in the world. But unfortunately, in infinite flight, it's not up to standard with stuff like the A350, even though it's missing the interior. But you know, the A330-900, the Neo, the A220, which is a magnificent aircraft in infinite flight. Now, moving on to probably the final aircraft, because the A220 and the A320s are pretty good with live cockpits and that. But we've got the A330-200, which has not been changed since November 2013. Now, we're going to go to Turkish Airlines Cargo. Very obsessed with Turkish Airlines. And I'm just going to show you the A330-300 freight. Now, I think in general, this aircraft is a little bit better than the other aircraft we see in infinite flight. Compared to the two I've just shown you, I think the A330 is a much nicer aircraft as well, because it's very easy to, you know, to smooth. For a smooth landing, it's very easy to get that smooth, buttery landing that everyone looks forward to. So I think that's definitely something we, you know, you'll know about the A330. When I see people flying A330, I'm like, they better butter this landing. So we should now finally be loaded in. Now, I've spoken to you about the A330, which is, again, it's a great aircraft, but it won't cut up to standard. So here we are, we're just loading in to our flight. I'm very sorry for the little wait, trying to get in. Okay, so we have now loaded in. I did skip forward in the video, and I gave you guys a little break, and I watched it load. So look, again, livery-wise, I think the livery's a little bit worse. Like, when you look at the cargo doors, I'll just go to free mode on the T and that. You can tell they don't really open, and they just look a little bit meh. But livery-wise, like when you look at the tail, it looks pretty decent for an infinite flight-wise, etc. So it does look decent. We've got the gear down here; they all look pretty good. So, you know, looking at the exterior of the aircraft, pretty good. But now we go inside and kaboom! Again, no interior at all. Now we're going to go up to the cockpit. Again, boom. Cockpit unchanged, just like the A340 and the A380. Just sticker. However, the big question is, do this move? Yes, this does move, and this one does move. I'm starting to think the one in the A380 did move, and I missed it. Someone confirm that for me in the comments like you usually do. It'd be greatly appreciated. Like I said, the flat thing moves, and we got moving throttle, and I imagine that means the gear pedal, the rudder pedals move. Nope, rudder pedals are frozen. It's a bit of an oof. If I could actually do it, I'll go into this view and look. There we go. Yes, so rudder pedals do not move, unfortunately, in the A330. So the A330. This is the worst of the three A330 variants we have in infinite flight. There's no, the cargo stuff doesn't open by the looks of it, but we do have the freight vehicle which will move up and work. So, you know, unfortunately we do have that issue with the cargo, but again, it's not a massive issue because not everyone can see it. But the livery on this A330 is good, but it's definitely still one of the worst in infinite flight. The aircraft as a whole, like I said, if we get a different view using one of the slower cameras, you start to see when you get a bit closer how much worse off this aircraft is in comparison to other aircraft within infinite flight. Like I said, you can see here, it's just a little bit more pixely and quite a bit pixelated. I don't think this aircraft is as bad as the A340 or the A380 in infant flight, just because the A330 in general in infant flight has always been a very decent aircraft. Like I said, the physics is good with the plane, it's a nice easy one for everyone to land, and it's some good old fun you can have with it. So again, we don't even get a first officer view, it's a bit disappointing. You can do that with free mode though, so that is very possible. So these are definitely the three aircraft I've shown you, the worst Airbus aircraft in infinite flight. Let me know what one of the three you think are the worst. I think I'm going to go with the A340 being the worst in infinite flight. If I did want an aircraft reworked though, it would probably be the A380, just because it is an A380 and it's much higher in demand. But of course, I don't think we'll be getting an A380 or any of these reworked or a reworked to your mobile devices for a very long time, because you all know how long these updates take. But other than that, if you did enjoy the video and you're new here, please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next YouTube video. Good night.
Find your way into this wonderland, cross the